morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. A lot is happening this morning. Oil has spiked up here to about $108 per barrel. All on a report, Israel bombed natural gas infrastructures this morning. You know what that means for the market? Negative day here on the market as oil spikes. It always happens this way. Dow has tumbled. A lot of other things have tumbled. Hot inflation reading this morning. We're talking about the wholesale prices came in. We'll talk about that as our first story here coming up as well. And then you've got the added pressure of the Federal Reserve decision today on market on interest rates. We'll kind of have the prediction there as well. And folks, I'll just give you the hint here. Nothing is changing here coming up, at least from the Fed perspective. Talk about that coming up in our stories here as well. But first, let's get right into that Market Watch. They kind of told you before, oil spiking to $108 a barrel this morning, and the market has sell-off mode here on this Wednesday. Of course, Monday and Tuesday we had kind of the sell-off ease a little bit, and people were buying into the market. Well, not this morning. Right now, the Dow Jones is down 258 points, 46,750. The S&P 500 is down 27 points to 6693. Nasdaq's down 68 points to 22,410. Russell 2K is down 15 points to 2504. Looks like, right there, Russell 2K. And then Bitcoin, 72,000. So 72, well, just stripped underneath that, but basically trading at 72,000 here this morning. Another down day for it, as it has been at 74,000, but with this market sell-off happening, with all of the news out there, no shocker that it is also down today. So we're waiting for the Fed reporting here coming up. Happened probably about 11 o'clock here our time and everything. But first, before we get into the expectations of the Fed today, we're going to look at some stocks that we are paying attention to right now. First one, let's take a look at NVIDIA here. They were up about 1% in pre-market trading. You see now they're only up 0.06% here in early market trading. We're about 30 minutes into the market being open. Reuters came out and they reported that NVIDIA got approval from the Chinese government to sell those H200 chips over in China. NVIDIA also reported preparing to make available in China a version of their Grok AI chip as well. Obviously, more sales for NVIDIA with that Chinese market is possible if those stories are true by Reuters. So they were up, like I said, in pre-market 1%, but with this broad sell-off happening since the market's open, it's actually even right now for NVIDIA. Next up, Micron Technology as well. They're a memory storage solutions firm. They're up 0.49% right now as well. As I said, we've seen a market sell-off here since the market's open, so they're down pre-market. These guys were up 2.1%, Micron was. Well, their fiscal second quarter earnings report is expected after the bell today, and it's expected to be good. That's why pre-market and before the sell-off happened here on the market, everybody was up here on Micron Technology. We'll see what their reporting is later on today. And then there's Macy's, the retailer. Yeah, they were up big in pre-market, still are here. 6.97% for Macy's, better than expected results for their fourth quarter. They earned $1.67 per share. The expectation was $1.53 per share. Their revenue came in at $7.64 billion. The expected revenue was $7.62 billion for Macy's. They're up 7.68% despite the sell-off happening on the market here this morning. Knight Swift Transportation, DocuSign, Lululemon. We'll look at those stocks here coming up later on in the program. When we come back and do our market watch as well. And folks, we've just told you all along, wholesale inflation, oil back up to $108 a barrel. Fed decision today, and those are our two first stories here. The producer price index, that measure that, cost, basically the pipeline cost that producers receive for their products, well, actually increased at about 0.7% on the month. We get these reporting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Came out about 30 minutes ago, 15, 20 minutes ago in that time frame. If you want to do just core PPI, well, it was increased 0.5% also. Well, the economists that look at these things, they'd been looking for an increase of only 0.3% for both measures, which means a hotter inflation report here coming out this morning. For the all items index, prices rose faster than the 0.5% pace in January. The core increase, though, was less than the 0.8% for January. So I don't know if that's good news or bad news, but on a 12-month basis, headline PPI inflation was at 3.4%. That's the most since February of 2025. Core PPI was at 3.9% in that time frame as well for the last year. Obviously, the Federal Reserve targets inflation at 2%. And although recently those numbers have been steady, they are not moving down to that 2% level. And now with this war in Iran and other issues, well, it's not going to change it at all as we're seeing inflation kind of creep back into the economy. Goods prices, they actually rose 1.1% on the month. Food prices rose 2.4%. Energy was up 2.3%. Keep in mind, this is February, before the war began. So, there's subcategories here within that food prices, category. Fresh and dry vegetables, they were up 48.9% just in that fresh and dry vegetables category just by itself. So, hotter inflation numbers than was expected here this morning. Keep in mind, this is February's numbers before the war began. As we are expecting here coming up for next month's numbers, big increases here because of the war in Iran. And we're already seeing it kind of creep in on the PPI side as of right now as well. And as I told you, the Federal Reserve's meeting yesterday and today, they'll give their report here on what their plan is here, probably about 11 o'clock our time. But I'll just tell you right now, little choice. They have zero choice here. Yeah, the Federal Reserve is going to keep interest rates the same here today as well. The Federal Reserve is navigating a mix of complicated, conflicting forces, all within the U.S. economy. So don't take my word on it. No, you can just look at the markets. Markets are pricing in a near zero chance that the Federal Open Market Committee, who does set the rates, that they'll be cutting at this meeting. But not only that, a near zero chance they're going to cut any time in the near future either. The futures pricing does suggest policymakers won't consider easing the interest rates until at least September. But they're even saying, September's ticking up a little bit, getting away from the non zero chance. But October right now is what everybody's kind of predicting the next rate cuts are going to come at that point, which then also means one single cut this year is what economists are looking at as of right now. So, big decision here today is their meeting, and the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, and the federal committee here that votes, where they're wrestling with the Iran war that's thrown the economy into flux here with inflation, energy prices through the roof. Then you've got that war is leading to fears of an inflation spike out there, and we saw that kind of with the PPI report this morning for February. But then also and they haven't known how to deal with this mixed signals from the labor market. There's no hire, no fire market that we're in right now. So now you've thrown some other big variables into this on top of what we've been dealing with the last several months as well. So all of this just basically means the Fed will probably stand pat, keeping its key interest rate targeted between 3.5 and 3.75% as well. So something to pay attention to later today. If it's anything but staying pat, people will be shocked by that. But that's what we're looking at later today. But that's also whirling the markets this morning as well with the inflation report, the oil going to $108 a barrel, and then just kind of the uncertainty here around the Fed market. Even though it's almost a certainty that they're keeping rates the same, people are trying to figure out how to get this economy stimulated moving forward as well. A couple other updates for you around the business world, at least on the government side, that's going to affect business. President Trump has officially told reporters that he would delay his trip to China for 5 or 6 weeks. He was supposed to meet with the president of China here at the end of this month. So that now officially the meeting there between the two countries' presidents has been pushed here. So this major summit, all because the President Trump, needs to focus on the war with Iran here in America. Trump said he is looking forward to seeing Chinese President Xi Jinping. He also said, quote, "We have a very good working relationship with China," unquote. China did concur the meeting's been postponed. And China said earlier this morning that it would maintain communication with the United States about Trump's trip and when it would actually happen. Coming up with it being delayed here because of that war on Iran. So officially, we got kind of word that it was possibly going to be delayed here, I think on Monday this week. Now it's officially been done there as well. And the U.S. government, this morning, I think it's about 9 a.m. here in the West Coast, but they are going to hold a sale of oil and gas drilling rights up in the Alaska's National Petroleum Reserve. It'll be the first time drilling rights are going up for sale since 2019. This is, this is going to test a lot of things. One, the industry's appetite for acreage there to drill up in Alaska. And by the way, this has nothing to do with the Iran war. This was slated long before that war did start there. And the bad part is it takes years to get oil out of that area. The Interior Department's Bureau of Land Management is offering 600 tracts covering 5.5 million acres. They're offering it to, of course, the oil and gas companies. The sale is the first of at least five mandated by President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So that is when it was put into motion to have the sale happen. So it has nothing to do with the war here. And it's also, like I said, years to get that producing up there. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But could there be some more relaxation here on oil and gas here coming up here for us here in the future? Oil and gas interest, though, is waning up there in the Alaska wilderness. Yeah, it's been tepid in recent years. Drilling in Alaska is a high risk endeavor. It involves decades of work, billions of dollars of investment. The industry did fail to show up for an all sale of an offshore drilling's rights off the coast of Alaska in that Alaska's Cook Inlet earlier this month. Nobody even bid on that one in the oil and gas industry. So it'll be interesting to see who does bid on this. Do people bid on this moving forward? Or do they leave it alone with all the costs and inherent costs involved in that as well? But that is happening later today as well. And now let's move over to some company news out there. Amazon did come out and announce yesterday that customers in select locations, they can receive even faster deliveries. So basically now, 1 or 3 hours delivery for an additional fee. Prime members benefit from significantly lower service costs than non-members for ultra-fast delivery option. Members, if you want to do this, well, you'll pay $9.99 for a 1 hour delivery, $4.99 for the 3 hour option. Now, it's not going to be available everywhere. Big cities are going to basically, like Phoenix, Los Angeles, are going to get a lot of the 3 hour options. A 1 hour delivery will be for those mid-sized cities, at least here at the beginning. Customers without a membership, they'll pay $19.99 for the 1 hour shipping, $14.99 for the 3 hour alternative. So Prime members do obviously get that discount as well. If you want to know what can be shipped in those time frames, well, you can find those eligible items using Amazon's new in 1 hour or in 3 hours search filters that'll be on their site. The company's user interface and dedicated storefront page also highlight items that will qualify for 1 and 3 hour delivery as well. They're going to push these deliveries, obviously additional income here for Amazon as well. Both accelerated shipping tiers will be available for more than 90,000 products on Amazon. Things from everyday essentials, retail items, things like pantry goods, beauty products, over-the-counter medications, some electronics. I think that the heavier you get, the less you get on the shipping side as well. But toys, clothing, home and garden supplies will all be categories that are eligible there for the faster delivery. So if you're addicted to Amazon and need your stuff faster, there you go for you there as well for a nominal fee on top of it. And we know Disney, we've announced this before, they're getting a new CEO. Well, that becomes official here later today. And Disney is officially moving on to that new chapter. Josh D'Amaro, he steps in as CEO of Disney, and here later on today here with their board of directors meeting. D'Amaro most recently served as chairman of Disney Experiences. Disney Experiences includes the theme parks, is the biggest part of it, but that includes the cruise line, resorts, consumer products of Disney. He's going to succeed Bob Iger, as you know, as chief executive as well. A company's annual shareholder meeting wraps up here today. The longtime Disney executive takes over after a period of big uncertainty for Disney. And Bob Iger came back into the role and kind of settled it down there from a lot of uncertainty from the last time Bob Iger retired and his successor took over and failed miserably. They had to bring Bob Iger back. So this is going to be a closely watched succession here for Disney as well. And not only that, but the recent reorganization and turnaround is being watched by investors as well. And the reorganization, the succession here, well, it's left a lot of people in the investment world with a mixed reception of these changes here at Disney, at least on the Wall Street perspective. Yeah, Disney stock, if you look at it from a macro level, this year alone, 2026, Disney stock is down more than 10% year to date with all of these changes. And new CEO coming in for Disney, so something to pay attention to moving forward as well. And now let's talk a little sports here as well. This morning, we're getting word the WNBA and its player union, the WNBPA, I think is what its initials are. Well, we know that reportedly they've reached an agreement in principle on a new collective bargaining agreement as well. This was early this morning. This news came out. Specifics still need to be finalized over the next few weeks. Lawyers on both sides worked the new CBA language and putting it all together for ratification. A term sheet should actually be done in the next day or two. So we don't know actual details, but after the term sheet, then the CBA will have to be ratified by the players and approved by the league's board of governors before it officially takes effect. So what's expected in this deal? We don't know specifics yet, but the deal is expected to increase players' salaries with $1 million players. That will be the first time this has happened in the WNBA, which, by the way, the 30th season is officially going to happen now with this settlement up here as well. And they've done it in enough time that the league will start on time. No changes coming up in terms of that here. They got the deal done fast enough. So salaries for everybody is going to increase. That's the expectation. Like I said, the top level players will make some more money. So WNBA season, for those of you that are into CBA arguments and stuff like that, well, all done here reportedly. And not just in that basketball world is there news, but, obviously it's March. We saw two playing games last night. Tonight we got two more playing games. And millions of Americans last night were watching the playing games. Well, tomorrow on Thursday, 9:30 a.m. here Phoenix time, millions of Americans will be locked into the annual NCAA men's basketball tournament. And then, of course, over the weekend and into next week as well. And which means, folks, yeah, if you're a boss out there, well, your productivity of your employees, even if you're an employee, your productivity could dip a lot here as well. And it could end up costing companies a sizable chunk of change in terms of money. Yeah, data from the employment firm Challenger Gray and Christmas, they put out a survey on this here early this morning. This new report estimates American employers will lose out on $12 billion during the tournament because of that slide in productivity. It's not just the 26% that are expected to call off work to sit at home and watch the games or go to Vegas and watch the games. But here's the other side of it. Forget about calling in sick. While at work, 6.4 hours of the time frame here could be spent on March Madness related activities while you're at work. So forget about just calling in sick and not being productive. Just being at work, you're going to do it. I ain't going to lie to you. We'll be watching it here tomorrow as well and Friday here as well while we're getting ready for shows and doing our work here. More than 67 million adults are expected to wager on NCAA tournament games this spring. Million more, enter bracket pools, play fantasy basketball games. or engage in other types of gambling, like Kalshi and things to that effect, which we'll talk about Kalshi here coming up after the break here. But, so March Madness is here. I always tell employers just take a couple deep breaths. Your employees are going to be distracted Thursday and Friday coming up here, and just take a couple deep breaths. Kind of just let them deal with it. Hey, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling. We're getting up to an hour here of the market open. Big sell-off happened this morning. Let's check in with the market one more time and see where we are. Right now, word is Trump waives U.S. shipping law for 60 days. That is all in an attempt to steady the oil market as well and things. So it's a very long time U.S. shipping law out there as well. The Jones Act waiver. Here's the quote, will allow vital resources like oil, natural gas, fertilizer, and coal to flow freely to U.S. ports for 60 days. Being announced right now as well. 60-day waiver. So the government's trying everything to draw down these energy costs. And Fed decision today, right now, oil is trading at $108 a barrel with what's happened over there. All that and more. Come on back. McCollum on Business. Wednesday edition. In a minute. And we're back here, McCollum on Business. You saw the commercial for The Real Matrix. You know this already. The Real Matrix on your favorite podcast system for those of you that want to listen to it. 10 a.m. on Fridays here at Robat TV. Noon on the podcast system and on Rumble. Rumble.com/user/TME Media AZ. Pops right up for you. New episodes of The Real Matrix. 10 a.m. on Robat. Noon everywhere else here on Friday. As soon as we get done here, we roll into the main event. Me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hellestrade get you updated on the sports world here on Wednesday. U.S. lost the World Baseball Classic to Venezuela last night. Suns in a slump here today. Spring training's kind of wrapping up here in the next couple of weeks. A lot going on in the sports world. Come and join us there. We'll get these shows up on demand here, Robat TV, as soon as they're done. Of course, 8 to 10 live there for the main event. And as soon as we're done here, up on Robat TV and on the company YouTube page as well. TME Media AZ there on YouTube is where you can find all of our programming. For those of you that want to watch some replays or shares with your friends that don't have subscriptions, we'd appreciate it very much. As well, of course, TME has a podcast. The main event with Steven, just type that in to your favorite podcast system. Comes right up. Subscribe the YouTube page as well. Pit Stop coming your way this week as well. We'll look back at Las Vegas. Ahead this weekend at Darlington as IndyCar gets a weekend off here. Lots going on in the sports world. All that programming. Robat TV also on the YouTube page out there. Rumble for the Real Matrix. We're going to move some of our sports stuff onto Rumble as well. Might as well utilize it since we're over there. So that's coming your way here also here shortly. we'll start getting stuff posted there. We appreciate all of your support. And with all that being said, let's get right into that Market Watch. The word's coming out right now. President Trump is waiving that U.S. shipping law for 60 days, which will help shipping things that are obviously been a big deal here today. We're waiting for the Fed to announce what they're doing today. We told you in that first part of the show what we expect the Fed to do today and what investors expect the Fed to do as well. Oil this morning went up to $108 a barrel based off of some war stuff there. Iran threatens oil facilities in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar. That is spiking oil there to $108. And then we find out this morning aluminum prices have surged, all because this Iran war is choking supply of aluminum and aluminum products out there. So aluminum prices are surging lately as well with this war going on. All that being said, and the market's in sell-off mode today after a couple days of non-sell-off mode, right? Dow Jones right now down 443 points, S&P 500 down 50, Nasdaq's down 159 points, and then the small cap index, the Russell 2K, is down 25 points as of right now. Bitcoin continuing to fall today as well with the sell-off. It's down to 71,858 for Bitcoin here on this Wednesday, and that's been pretty steady at the 74,000 range here last week or so, week and a half or so for Bitcoin. So we're starting to even see that be affected with everything going on. Stocks we're paying attention to, local company here, Knight Swift Transportation. You know, they deliver trucks, basically. They move trucks around the United States. It's up 0.10% right now. I can tell you it was up over 3% in pre-market trading. Obviously, a sell-off's happening on the market right now. They were upgraded to buy. They were at neutral before. They're upgraded to buy here at UBS. That investment company says that growing visibility, that there will be a supply reduction in the industry, and then strengthening truckload pricing as a result is what's coming in this industry, and that's why UBS has upgraded to buy, as I think that means trucking companies will be going out of business or merging, which would drive up cost here to ship things, and Knight Swift Transportation would be in line for that to happen with those price increases. So there you go. With the local company, then you got DocuSign, right? Software company up 1.47% right now as well. DocuSign did beat their fourth quarter estimates. They did give strong guidance for its first quarter and also for the fiscal year. DocuSign anticipates first quarter revenues to come in between $822 and $826 million. Analysts were only expecting $813 million. Yeah, the market loves it when you come in with the high guidance number. DocuSign up 1.39% as of right now. And then let's look at Lululemon out there. Athletic apparel, you know what they do. 2.96% up right now for them as well. Even with all the tariff stuff, you know, a lot of their stuff's made in Vietnam and those areas. Even with all the tariffs and words and stuff like that, well, Lululemon topped Wall Street's fiscal fourth quarter expectations. Yeah, not good as well. So, but they did have weaker than expected sales and earnings forecast for full year 2026. So it's not all good news for Lululemon. Lulu did say that it's expecting sales to be between $11.35 and $11.5 billion. Well, the expectation was $11.52 billion. The earnings guidance of $12.10 to $12.30 per share. Yeah, the estimate there was $12.58 in terms of the guidance. So, Rosie, quarterly guidance is the problem for Lululemon, but even with that, they're up 3% here today in early market Wednesday trading. We're about an hour into the trading day here on the market, and a big sell-off occurring right now with all the news hitting us early this morning. And let's get into some local stories here as well. And, well, Arizona, you know, our attorney general, I always joke around that she's never seen a lawsuit that she's never liked. She loves hopping on them, and she loves starting them out there as well. And officially yesterday, Arizona, it became the first state to file criminal charges against Kalshi. That's that prediction market company out there. And Arizona is accusing Kalshi of operating an illegal gambling business within its borders, meaning Arizona. It's a it's not an escalation to this fight between states and this Kalshi company. It's a significant escalation with criminal charges against the company as well. A lot of states are trying to regulate the Kalshi platform as well. We talk about this a lot, but Arizona jumping in head first here. It was a 20 count charging document, and it accuses Kalshi of accepting bets on political outcomes, color sporting competitions, even individual player performance. And Arizona says that violates the Arizona's gambling laws. The state prohibits operating an unlicensed wagering business, and it bans betting on elections as a state law. The criminal case marks a new front in a high stakes battle over whether prediction markets, like Kalshi, they're not the only one, they're the biggest one, but should they be subject to the same rules as the gambling companies like FanDuel and DraftKings, etc.? The outcome of this trial could have sweeping implications for how sports betting, which, by the way, I looked up the percentages to see if I could find it. And from what I found, about 90% of Kalshi's trading volume is sports betting. So they're getting around and they're not regulated like FanDuel, DraftKings. 90% trading volume there just on sports betting with Kalshi. Yeah. So this is the argument. Can Kalshi be regulated here in the U.S.? By the way, the federal side of the country is supporting Kalshi and wants it to exist from a federal level with federal regulations, and the states are trying to, get in there and say, well, fine, you're federally regulated, but we don't want you operating here. So there's also a federal states battle going on with this company as well, and now with this lawsuit. Kalshi, of course, insists it's a financial marketplace rather than a gambling operation. Hard to argue that when you're 90% sports betting. And then Kelsey says they should only have to answer to the federal regulators with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, who that commission agrees that they have the sole ability to regulate these prediction markets and companies like Kalshi out there. At least 9 other states have taken some form of legal action against Kalshi. Utah's Republican governor, for example, he's pledged to sign a bill that could undercut the company's business there in Utah. We're seeing this more and more against this company. The outcomes, though, of these 9 states and these lawsuits and everything, well, they've been mixed. Nothing has come out majorly on one side or the other. Federal and state judges in Nevada, even in Massachusetts, well, they issued early rulings in favor of states looking to ban Kalshi. And like I said, there's other ones. I think the other one's Polymarket. It's another one. Now, so they're coming out and saying that these companies cannot offer sports betting within the states here. Federal judges, though, in New Jersey and Tennessee, for instance. So we have state judges in 2 states, federal judges here, New Jersey and Tennessee. They've ruled in favor of Kalshi. The Nevada lawsuit was remanded to state court, so willing to bet here that it continues to stay. We'll see if they are trying to get the Arizona lawsuit here up into a federal court as well, because Kalshi is supported on the federal level, but not on the state levels here. We'll have to see if it stays in state court or moves up to the federal level. But criminal charges here against Kalshi as a whole for operating here unlicensed. We'll have to keep our eyes on this project. And then there's SRP, right? Our big energy company here. They're teaming up with a company called Invenergy. Say that 10 times fast. Yeah, these 2 companies announced an agreement to build a $209 million solar and battery storage facility down in Pinal County. The new solar farm is meant to help meet explosive energy demand here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. It's going to be called the Sundog Energy Center. It's going to add 200 megawatts of solar generation, 200 megawatts of 4-hour battery storage to the regional's power grid. That's enough electricity since none of us know how it equates to anything. Yeah, that's enough energy to power an estimated 45,000 Valley homes, according to the release of those companies. The agreement comes as SRP scrambles to more than double its power system capacity over the next decade, all to keep pace with not just the population growth, economic development, data centers, for instance, as well across this Phoenix area as well. We continue to be one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the nation. SRP continuing to invest highly in solar panel out there in the desert lands to get energy here up here to the Phoenix area as well. And the bank BMO, I've never banked with them or dealt with them, but you see them all over the place when you're driving around, especially over in California. Well, they announced back in October of last year an announcement to open new financial centers in key U.S. markets. Well, now they've officially announced more than 130 new California locations. But what, we're talking about here, because we care more about Arizona than California, yeah, 15 locations about here, specifically in Arizona. That'll be in the Phoenix and Tucson area over the next 5 years. It's a multi year investment, and it reflects BMO's commitment to expanding in person, advice led banking across high growth communities in the Western United States. BMO operates more than 220 financial centers across California. These new centers represent growth of more than 50% in California with their numbers. And the bank executing a multi year expansion strategy in California. Now they were doing more so here in Arizona as well, specifically Phoenix and Tucson. So another bank we've seen some banks get into this market by purchasing other banks. Now we're seeing one just straight up investing here into this market coming up over the next 5 years. And look, if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard, these next 4 or 5 days is record shattering heat coming to the valley. First time, earliest we've seen 100-degree temperatures. And last time it happened, we had 100 degrees, and then we were back down beneath it in March. Well, now we're coming to it, and we're staying above it for the next few days, hitting as high as 107, I was reading, on Friday or Saturday coming up here as well. But what does that mean for outside activities, et cetera? We already know spring training, a lot of games have been moved to night games over the next several days around spring training to get out of the scorching heat and everything. And with these triple digit temperatures coming, there is an extreme heat warning in effect Thursday morning through Sunday evening here in the Valley by the National Weather Service officially. So we have a lot of tourists here in town, and that also means tourist attractions are adjusting their schedules, a la the spring training, all in response to this heat. Several popular Phoenix hiking trails will officially be closed with those heat laws that we have. So if you're in town as a tourist and you wanted to do some of these, well, Thursday through Sunday, at least in the middle of the day, you're not going to be able to do it. We're talking, of course, about the Echo Canyon, the Cholla trails. Those are up there on Camelback Mountain. Piesta Woods Peak Summit Trail. All the other trails around South Mountain there in Phoenix, they will close from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. There is a law here on doing that as well. No pets can be on these trails either over 100 degrees due to their paws and the heat on them as well. So keep alert of that if you're in town or you have people in town and you're going to do these hikes coming up as well. The alert from the city's Park and Recreation Department said the city also strongly discourages hiking on other city trails from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., even if they're not technically closed by the city here on these extreme heat days coming up. The Desert Botanical Garden, they're encouraging visitors to hike its trails in the early morning or late evening. The garden is temporarily adjusting its hours to open at 6 a.m. and close at 10 p.m. through Sunday. So you can go in the cooler hours while the sun's not up there beating it down on you. And they also have you put in a program code and you get a discount after 8 p.m. here for these few days coming up here this week as well. So stay out of the heat, stay hydrated. It's not only that, because we're technically used to these temperatures, but you and I both know when you first get hit with them every year, there's an adjustment period. I'm already planning on big naps coming up for me if I'm out of that sun and just wear it out a little bit more at the beginning of the year. I'm planning my naps here for the Thursday and Friday and Saturday this week to stay out of that heat. And folks, stay out of the heat here as well. If you're catching spring training games, even at night, make sure you hydrate out there and stay safe, everyone. It's going to hit you hard here these next few days. And let's wrap this show up here. Get into the main event here at 8 o'clock here coming up. Come and join us there if you would. If not, catch us on demand here, Robat TV, TME Media AZ on YouTube, as well for on demand later on, free podcasting system. We'll see you there, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow here, McCollum on Business, 7 a.m.